He wants 1,001 gallon buckets to experiment. But he helped us at the time because we were going through and reviewing some of what we did with our Pinot Noir making procedures, and that was really important at the beginning of that process. And after him was Bob Berteau, who is now the wine director for, I think it's Chateau Saint Michel. Yeah.
That's beautiful up here.
Yeah, you can actually see a little bit today, which is nice.
Yeah.
What we're not seeing, in a sense, is the tail end of the Petaluma Gap or the Petaluma Wind Gap out there.
Okay.
So this is the vineyard that was first planted in 1953 that we're looking at. Is 2 acres of Chardonnay and originally 4 acres of Pinot Noir. We now only have 2.5 acres of Pinot Noir. And that was planted in 53. And it makes it the oldest Pinot Noir and Chardonnay in California.
Wow.
Yeah, according to John Hager's book, North American Pinot Noir, actually the oldest Pinot Noir in North America.
Wow.
And this is the Debris Vineyard, which was planted in 1976, named for the current ownership family. Vines are 34 years old. And this is a section planted in 1999. Called Benny's Vineyard because of a tractor operator that cleared it, and that's, of course, Benny's Rock.
Okay.
That was one of the big rocks that came out of it.
So you can see how the property kind of saddles this this ridge that the Debris Vineyard is planted on. And over here on the right is the Ramos Vineyard, which was planted in 2001, and through the replantings in '98, there was a lot of experimentation with other rootstocks and other clones, and Bob Sessions, taking the conservative farmer point of view, was concerned that it was getting those new clones and new rootstocks were taking the wines too far away from the Hanzell style. So the Ramos Vineyard was planted on St. George to the Hanzell clone, and it's getting better and better.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited about what we made in 2009.
Oh boy. So nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Did you come up that road?
Mm-hmm. Most people, their first time up, are a little more concerned with being on the road.
Yeah.
Than what they're looking at.
So this is 2008 Chardonnay, and this particular lot is from the Zellerbach C98, and this is the Robert Young clone. So this is if you will, an experimental clone.
One of the goals of the cave was to make, one of the goals of all of our new production area, including the cave, was to make very functional workspaces. Yes, it's great when they look beautiful, but the goal is to make great wine, and being pretty is not that important. Although I would argue that our cave, both our cave and our winemaking area, certainly have their charms.
The moment would await be bottled. How long do you age it in barrel? Or is that still to be made?
We're actually getting ready to rack these out of barrel, probably within the next 2 weeks, and get them ready for bottling. The tentative start date is March 15th. Always have to knock on wood when it comes to bottling and supplies and everything. The stars lining, but March 15th is when we're going to start bottling the Chardonnay. Actually, all of the Chardonnay that's currently in the winery from 2008 was all tank fermented. About 70% of the production for Chardonnay is tank fermented. We do not allow it to go through ML. It stays in tank for 6 months, then goes to neutral barrel or older wood for 12 months. The 30% that we do barrel ferment goes through malolactic, certainly aged for 12 months, and then we rack it to tank for 6 months. So then at the end of the 18-month élevage, it's then assembled and bottled. And this is the Debris vineyard, planted in '76. And this vineyard was taken from cuttings from the C53. So this is Hanzell.
It's got a lot of going on, a lot of depth.
Really great texture and mouthfeel.
And depth and length. I mean, it's just, to me, it seems to have it all. We've turned it into our library.
It's stunning.
We do have wines labeled Hanzell. We go back to '65. Actually, we have a couple of, notice some pints sellers. When Ambassador Zellerbach died in '61, his wife Hannah, as we said before, really wasn't interested in this property, and so she sold the property, but they had some bulk wine, some wine in barrel that was sold to Joe Heights, and so he bottled it. And on the label, it actually kind of threw the ATF. It says, instead of produced and bottled by, it's perfected and bottled by.
Label approvals, that would be fun.
Yeah. And a great picture of Ambassador Zellerbach and Brad Webb, who was the first winemaker here. Temperature-controlled fermenters in the world. Built in 1957. Brad had come to Hanzell when he was hired. He came from Gala, and Ambassador Zellerbach had the wherewithal to tell Brad, whatever you need, but this is the goal, is to make wines that are going to compete as with the very best wines in the world. And so they built these. And back then, I mean, I've seen the receipt. It was $37,000 just for these tanks here, which, in 1957 was a lot.
Seriously.
Brad was, really on the forefront of the use of inert gas, malolactic fermentation, the use of French oak and barrel fermentation. A lot of the things that nowadays we think, well, of course you do.
Yeah.
They were in the very, very forefront of. So it's a bit humbling to be here.